Alright people, midweek report time. So, a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, but first and foremost, we got to get into this breaking news, which was reported about 2 hours ago by Dan Raphael. So, Ryan Garcia, after his fight with Devin Haney, it was emerged that he failed I think it was a VADA test, and basically he tested positive for Ostarine and something else anyway. Obviously, we were hearing, he's proclaiming his innocence. We're hearing Eddie Hearn, being very animated that they want action. Devin Haney, of course, is very upset about this. Then we were hearing that the B sample was going to be tested and was going to be opened. Well, it's been revealed that the B sample results from the Devin Haney fight have now come back positive for Ostarine, just as the A sample did. Ryan Garcia went on to tweet, "I effing love steroids." Bill Haney is reportedly furious, and literally, actually, only in the last minute, literally, this is just as I refreshed X here, just updated, it says Ryan Garcia's legal team have now issued a statement after his B sample came back positive for Ostarine. They say they have done a hair test which came back negative, and believes he is the victim of a contaminated supplement, I should say. Now, there's a lot in this. I'm not going to read it all verbatim. We'll be here all day. These videos are already long enough as they are. So he's done the hair test. Now, I believe Canelo may have done that. When it wasn't Ostarine, it was clenbuterol. Canelo tested positive for a few years ago now. It's not looking good for Ryan Garcia. At the same time, if this was, it shouldn't be this way. It really shouldn't, but unfortunately it is the world we live in. Listen, Ryan Garcia looks guilty to me. I mean, the fact of the matter is, why is that in your system? And we're hearing so much about these supplements and this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, is it not on you? Especially Ryan Garcia, who is a major superstar in boxing. Surely you would know and have a team of nutritionists who are, meticulous with their preparation in making sure, all right, this supplement is good, this one, oh wait, let me check, oh no, it might be good, but no, we can't take that risk, or stuff like that. So surely there has to be some pushback. Now, I can understand to an extent, I'm not excusing it, I can understand to an extent if they are a British leveler, if even fighter, where they don't have a team of nutritionists, where it's literally just them and their boxing coach. And maybe they're literally, again, you could probably say that, well, gee, hang on a minute, you can go on the VADA website, you can go on, these drug testing agencies, the guys who do it, and you could see I know it will take a lot of work, but you could still do it, so it should fall back on the fighter. At the end of the day, Ryan Garcia is a major star, and how often, look at Canelo, slap on the wrist, a 6-month ban. Sure, September to May, which is normally the kind of gap he leaves, that's longer than 6 months anyway. And obviously it wasn't that kind of, but you know what I mean? Your top level fighter, you're fighting twice a year at best anyway. So a 6-month ban to a top level fighter, it's laughable. It's not going to affect them at all. Will they make it a no contest? That's the big question with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Will they actually go and make the fight a no contest? That really is. I really don't know what they're going to do with that one now, to be honest with you. But it's not looking good for Ryan Garcia. It's not looking good for Ryan Garcia. Let's see what happens. And he's already came out with the excuses, he takes a picture with Trump. Oh, that's the reason. It's like, come on, man. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do with that. Eddie Hearn has said he is unsure if Oleksandr Usyk will be stripped of his IBF title in time for the Philip Hearn Dubois fight, which, again, June the 1st, not far away. However, he does expect Usyk to be stripped, that they will not grant him an exception to go through with the Tyson Fury fight. So Joshua could end up facing the winner of Hrgovic Dubois, which could then potentially be for the vacant title. We shall wait and see. In terms of Oleksandr Usyk, let's have a quick chat about him. It's lovely to see. Obviously, he got the win over Tyson Fury the weekend. We've done that fight to death. We're not going to do too much of it. We're just going to talk about Oleksandr Usyk here. It's nice to see that Oleksandr Usyk, certainly at heavyweight, there was no question about him getting the accolation at cruiserweight. He got plenty of it, and rightly so. He cleaned out the division undisputed. It was tremendous, and it was a much harder cruiserweight division than it is now. So I think that you deserve even more praise for that. You deserve praise for being the top guy in your division. But when the division is also stacked at the same time, You really have to look at that and say, God, we really are dealing with something special here. You know, you had a prime Briadis, you had a prime Garcia, you had Marco Huck was probably a little past it, but you had a prime Krzysztof Glowacki, Tabisa Machunu, Michael Hunter, you know, at the time was undefeated. So to go and go through these guys, it's really impressive. I know you could say, well, he never fought Dorty Coast, but you know, I don't think Dorty Coast, as entertaining as he is, I don't think he would have been much of a match for Oleksandr Usyk, quite frankly. So he gets the accolation at cruiserweight, deservedly so, but as soon as he went to heavyweight, it was, you know, for me, it was kind of like, it really hit home when Joshua beat Ngannou, and you'd so many people just acting like Usyk doesn't even exist. You know, we should go straight into a Joshua Fury fight. No. And for me, it was frustrating because you'd seen somebody say, oh no, it has to be Joshua Fury, it has to be Joshua Fury next. Listen, stay consistent. If you're going to critique Tyson Fury, rightly so, for ducking the fight at the time, and obviously the fight was signed at that time, but you know, going back into 2023, if you're going to critique Fury for ducking it, you shouldn't then turn around and say, well, you know, who is Usyk? You know, let him fight. You shouldn't be doing that. I was like, nope, it's Fury Usyk or no go. And you know, that to me was kind of like everyone just looking past Usyk as if, you know, he doesn't exist. Certainly a heavyweight, because he's not a big puncher, you know, but by the standards of, you know, Joshua Wilder, you know, those types. He's not a big puncher by their standards. He's not 6'6", 6'7". He's not 250 pounds. He is a 6'3" guy who's come up from cruiserweight, and he's tremendous. And it's nice to see now he's getting the recognition. You see him being welcomed as a hero back in his home country, and what he decides to do next, he's really earned the right to make his own choice, because as Jamie said, he really has completed boxing. Undisputed at cruiserweight, undisputed at heavyweight. It's not like you're a Naoya Inoue who has loads of other weight divisions. I'm not saying you should go to them, but you can go through weight divisions. Once you've done it at heavyweight, you've done it. Like, there's nothing else you can do in terms of, you can't go up any more weights. There's not much else. So we've heard talk from Frank Warren that the Fury rematch is triggered and it will happen some point in October. Let's see if that happens, and let's see what happens next for both guys. With Oleksandr Usyk, again, what is there left to do? You know, you've beaten Joshua twice. You've beaten Tyson Fury. You're undisputed at heavyweight. Your legacy was already confirmed by a run at cruiserweight. What more do you need? You're set for life. Do you need to carry on? If he does carry on and fight Tyson Fury, I would expect him to win, obviously Oleksandr Usyk. But I think we're near the end. We're definitely near the end. You know, there is slippage in him. You can see that. But he is still incredibly talented. As for Tyson Fury, yeah, you know, it's an interesting one. It really depends what Turki Al-Sheikh wants to do next. If he wants to do maybe an Ngannou rematch and then work towards a Joshua fight. The Joshua fight is still there for Fury. It's not as big as it would have been had he been undisputed and beaten Oleksandr Usyk. Certainly not. But it is still a massive fight. I think that it was me and Jamie were saying, if you do that in the UK, it sells. There's no ifs or buts. It sells. The casual audience don't give two iotas if Fury's coming in off a loss and maybe Joshua didn't perform well against whoever, hypothetically saying. They don't care. They're just going to be like, Fury, Joshua, I'm in. And that's going to be it. So I think that fight is something that Turki Al-Sheikh, probably Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, are both going to be looking at, because it is genuinely such a big fight. In terms of the IBF, what they're going to do, I really don't know. I expect them to strip Oleksandr Usyk, but yeah, he's right. It's a very quick turnaround. It's a very quick turnaround. It could be that the winner of this fight fights Joshua for a vacant title, because if Dubois wins, well then he'll obviously usurp Filip Hrgovic as number one. Joshua, I believe, is number two. And if Hrgovic wins, well then it's number one, number two fighting for the vacant title. So there you go. So yeah, let's wait and see. We'll wait for more word. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll hear on Joshua's card in Wembley Stadium, which honestly is going to be phenomenal. I can imagine. What's phenomenal is the fights this weekend. And we do have some good fights this weekend. We have obviously we have Lawrence Okolie over in Poland. We obviously have him over in Poland, challenging for the Bridgerweight world title again. Well, I say Bridger. Yeah, we'll call it that. It's not even, boxers don't even recognize it. But he's fighting Rosansky. I would expect Okolie to win that fight. I would expect him to win it. How well he looks in victory, that's another story. I hope he can right the wrongs of those last really 3 performances really, and get back to something similar. Last time he fought a fighter who was from Poland, it was Krzysztof Glowacki. He looked brilliant. I'm pretty sure, no, unless Cieslak actually I think is Polish, and people forget how bad that fight was. It was not good. Not good. So that's a Cody. Obviously the one we really care about is the Catterall Josh Taylor fight. I think I will do a live watch along for this one. I think I will. I think we'll try and get a live watch along in for this. Now, it probably won't be a long watch along, if you know what I mean. I might just do the main event and the co-main. But I did a watch along first time these guys fought, and I think it might only be fair to do another watch along second time around. Why not? If you guys fancy it, let me know. But why not? We done it first time for these guys. Let's do it again second time. The card itself is really good, actually. I think it's a good card. I genuinely do. I think it's a very good, interesting card. So on the undercard, we have Giorgio Visioni. Now, I actually spoke with Mark Tibbs a couple of months ago about this young man, 21 years old. He's from Guildford in Surrey. And Mark Tibbs actually remarked to me, and he said that when Giorgio Visioni went to him originally, he said he was a boxer, not a puncher. And I just see he's 2-0 with 2 knockouts. Mark Tibbs said once he put him on the pads, he said, no, you are a puncher. Make no mistake about that. He's fighting a journeyman. I recognize this guy's name, Sergio Odida. I don't know why I recognize it, but I do recognize him. Who has he fought? No, I don't know why, but I recognize that guy's name. Unless I've seen him maybe on a YouTube show or something like that, as in like a small YouTube show, boxing show. We have George Lillard. I think that's how you say that guy's name. Again, 21 years old. This guy is from Essex. I think I've seen him before. He's in there against Graham McCormack. Graham McCormack is from Limerick. He's an absolute heavy bag with 2 arms and 2 legs. So that should be an easy enough win for George Lillard. Gary Cully against Francesco Patera. Actually, Lewis Ritson is on this card as well. Patera actually derailed Lewis Ritson at 135 pounds. It was a split decision win, but Ritson never quite had the same momentum after that fight. Now, Gary Cully last time around, Gary Cully had a loss that for me kind of came out the blue against Jose Felix. It was a proper out the blue. Certainly for me watching, I was like, I didn't see that coming. He fought Reese Mulder last time out, and I seen that fight as well as on Katie Taylor's undercard, and I thought he was lucky. He got the win, but looked very shaky in it. I think the demons of that loss were still there. It was a bad knockout loss. He took a lot of shots, and it was obviously his first fight with McNally. And obviously Josh Taylor is a McNally trained fighter as well. They're stablemates. So Patera, I guess the saving grace for Gary Cully is he's not a big puncher. If Gary Cully is worried about his chin, this will really tell us where he's at. And now another fighter from Ireland, from Limerick actually as well, Paddy Donovan against Lewis Ritson. I expect Paddy Donovan to win that fight comfortably. In fact, I think he'll do a better job on Lewis Ritson than O'Hara Davis did. In fact, actually, if they fought, I would make... Now, obviously, this fight's going to be at welterweight as well. So, Lewis Ritson has no business up at that weight anyway. But if he was to fight, we'll say, like an O'Hara Davis, I'd make Paddy Donovan firm favourite. Firm favourite. I think he'll stop Lewis Ritson in the mid-rounds. And I'm gonna say he'll do a better job than O'Hara Davis did on Lewis Ritson. Siobhan Clark versus Elizara, Matchroom versus Queensbury. I thought Elizara was still looking for his head after Jay Opetaia knocked it off in Saudi Arabia. I don't think he'll have recovered from that. I've never really rated Zorro anyway, to be honest with you. And Chev Clark, yeah, I've not been, I would say I've been, Chev Clark's biggest fan. I think that, he's 33 years old. There's a lot to improve there, and in quite a short space of time, but he'll have the beating of Elizara. Then we get into the main event. Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall. I'm looking forward to this. When this fight happened first, Jack Catterall was robbed completely. Complete robbery. You'll not convince me otherwise. That was a disgraceful decision. Josh Taylor, I think, and I'm not making excuses for him, but I think Josh Taylor has seen better days. And part of me feels this might be a cash-out fight. Jack Catterall is going into this fight with a big chip on his shoulder. Apparently the fight could have happened several times over the last 2 years. It hasn't. None of which is Jack Catterall's fault. So he's got to feel like, look, and Jack Catterall has to shoulder some of the blame in a sense of he might feel his career has been stalled, but he didn't have to keep chasing this fight. And now it's a fight with no title on the line. So Jack Catterall, I expect him to win on points, but it could be a case where, you know, he has this moment where, like, I've got my win back, I've beaten Josh Taylor, but I'm not a champion, and I could have been undisputed, and now I've got the win, but I don't have anything. And over the last 2 years, I could have missed opportunities. Because I think Jack Catterall could be one of these fighters where he should have had his moment 2 years ago against Josh Taylor, should have been undisputed, but he may see out his career without actually winning a world title, which would be a complete travesty as far as I'm concerned. It really, truly would. But looking forward to the fight nonetheless, and I think it's going to be a good event. It's actually a very good undercard, to be fair, it really is. And obviously this week we got some announcements as well on some Queensberry shows. Now, Frank Warren is doing another Magnificent Seven. He's doing it in Birmingham. He's still doing Birmingham, Stoke, and Manchester. So he's not touched London, interestingly, with these Magnificent Sevens. It's interesting. Liam Davis versus Shabazz Massoud. Shout out to Shabazz Massoud. I've seen him fight live, actually. He's very good. He's actually wears Proper Boxing's logo on his shorts. Do you believe that? Because I actually let Proper know. I was like, when I seen him at the Copper Box, he had your logo on his shorts. So you're a fan of Proper Boxing, so is Massoud. Shabazz Massoud. Liam Davis. Now, Liam Davis is another interesting one. I remember his fight against Jason Cunningham. He can really bang. This is a great little scrap, you know. And I love these types of fights, right? Because both guys are quite early enough in their pro careers, right? Both guys are reasonably quite young. Davis is 28 years old. He's still got some time, and at the same age actually as Shabazz Massoud. Both guys can come back. Like, whoever loses can come back. And the winner goes on to bigger and better things. It's for an IBO title, which we don't rate. We don't recognise that. But still, they can go on to bigger and better things. So, yeah, I think that's a very, very good main event. Nathan Heaney, Brad Pauls, rematch. Great. Ashley Lane, Andrew Keane. That's going to be, I think Andrew Keane, that Belute fight, really, I can't get that fight out of my head when I think of him. He had him down several times and he still ended up losing. Chantel Cameron versus... I can't pronounce that girl's name. I know of her. I think she's French. I think she is French. Yeah, she is. She's from Paris. The Diamond. All right, let's see. But I think she fought Bam Gardner last year. So she's fighting Chantel Cameron on her Queensberry debut. Solomon Dacus versus Adelaide. Adelaide is going to beat the living crap out of Solomon Dacus. I've never rated him. I've honestly never rated the guy. No offense, he could be a lovely guy, but I've never rated the guy. I've never been impressed. And you can argue he lost his last fight. The week after, Frank Warren announced Joe Joyce versus Derek Chisora, by the way. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Chisora versus Joyce. I done a video talking about this fight already. I think a few people kind of misconstrued what I was saying in that video. I said it was a bad fight. Now, I don't mean it's a bad fight in terms of style. Quite frankly, if it wasn't for the fact that Chisora was so washed and I worried about his health, I would say, do you know what? It's a fun fight. Because it genuinely, like, you look at them on paper, it's going to be a fun fight. It'd be a fun scrap. But I don't like this fight for a variety of reasons. What does because I'm thinking Joe Joyce is going to win. What does he gain from beating Chisora at this point in his career? When they were trying to do that fight years ago, it was Joe Joyce as a prospect, which really would have catapulted him. You know, win over Derek Chisora in only, your fourth or fifth fight? Jesus, that's pretty good going. Now it's like, well, what does that do for you? Why are you fighting Chisora at this point in his career? You know? And then with Chisora, you're like, why are you fighting, period? You know, your last fight, you didn't look great in it, and some people felt you lost. You had the perfect way to go out at the O2. Why are you fighting a guy who possibly doesn't have the power to knock you out, but is going to be hitting you left, right, and centre? And I just don't want to see Chisora get hurt. That's what I really don't. In terms of the fight itself, in terms of style-wise, listen, I genuinely think it could actually be a very fun fight to watch, but I just don't. No, I just don't want to see it for that reason. If a fighter, I don't like seeing a fighter and thinking, do you know what? He might make a lot of money. He might make a couple of $100,000 for this fight, but that's not going to help him when in 5 years, nah, I don't want that. I do not want that. Eddie Hearn has revealed that Hamza Sheeraz versus Ammo Williams will be a final eliminator for the WBC middleweight world title. Carlos Adames holds that now. Thank God he holds it. He should have held it for a long time, only because they wouldn't strip Charlo, but thank God he has it now. I'm picking Hamza Sheeraz in that fight. I'll do my preview on it, but I'm going with Hamza Sheeraz to win that fight. I think he'll stop him. Eddie Hearn announced some cards for July this coming week as well. So Johnny Fisher will face Alan Babic in a heavyweight world title. Heavyweight world title? What am I saying? No, far from it. In a heavyweight fight on July 6th in London. That'll be in the Copper Box. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Don't get me wrong, it's a very, very fun fight. It's an exceptionally fun fight. I actually quite like the fight, to be honest with you. I think that it makes sense for both guys because when you think about it like this, really, where is Alan Babic going to go? What's his level? British, if even. You know, he'll say he's going on to world honours, this, that and the other, but like, is he really? I mean, you look at that guy, Lawrence Okolie's fight. Lawrence Okolie should win that fight pretty easy. You know, he really should. Bellew was talking about coming back to fight him, and I wouldn't have been picking Bellew. Certainly in his prime, I would have said he would have annihilated him, but that would probably still be competitive. And Rozanski, and it's like, that's the level you're at, and you got knocked out in the first round, so you didn't even hang with him. Johnny Fisher, as stiff as he is, he's very upright. I don't like that with Johnny Fisher. He's too upright for my life. Now, that's to say, that's not the one thing that's holding him back. There's a lot of things with Johnny Fisher holding him back. I think he's got a very, very low ceiling. He is one of these fighters. He's more of a gimmick than he is anything else. But he's got to have the beating. I would imagine of Alan Babic. Babic could prove me wrong, but I would imagine he'll have the beating of him. And it will be a fun fight while it lasts. It'll be a very, very fun fight while it lasts. But I would imagine Johnny Fisher is going to win that fight pretty handily. I think he'll probably stop Alan Babic. Let's have a quick look-see on boxing scene before we finish up here. Lee Wood, Josh Warrington rematch in the works, says Eddie Hearn. Yeah, they were talking about, actually it was meant to happen on May 18th, but obviously Fury Usyk kind of put a hamper to that. Didn't know what was going to happen with that fight. It seems to be the only fight for both guys. You know, it seems to be the only fight for both guys. So there you go. Amir Khan believes his friend Josh Taylor has lost his spark. I think he's right. I don't often agree with Amir Khan, but I do in that one. I agree with him. I think he's lost the spark as well. Eddie Hearn confirms Cordina will move up to 135 after the Kakache loss. Didn't he win the British title at 135? He came down to 130 pounds to chase world titles. And listen, it obviously worked out well in a sense if he picked up a world title. But 32 years old, coming down in weight, you can only do that for so long. Not to make excuses, Kakache was brilliant. Was absolutely brilliant in that fight. What else is there? Nelson predicts Catterall has the beating of Josh Taylor in the rematch. I was going to say, is that Johnny Nelson or Billy Nelson? Johnny Nelson. Jack Catterall should be worried. Johnny Nelson picking you, man. Johnny Nelson should be picking you. Who knows? What else do we have? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Who are the referees? It says referees for the Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall fight. Who are they? Referee Kevin Parker. Okay, Kevin Parker. Who are the judges? Lee Every, Mark Bates, and Kevin McCann. Lee Every, I know. Well, I don't know in person, but I know the name. But I don't know the rest of them, so it could be. It's about time the British Boxing Board started bringing in some fresh faces instead of the same mould. Ian John Lewis, Howard Foster, you know, Terry O'Connor, those likes, because they're old. You know, no, they are old, but they're old. They're old. They've been around the block. They've done it all. Get some new faces in. Let's see how they handle it. I think that's pretty much it. I think I'll leave it there, people. I don't want this video to go on too long. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I think I might actually take this evening off. Do you know that? I might take this evening off from recording, unless something big comes up. And actually, I might even do a video, now that I say it, on Ryan Garcia, a separate video for tomorrow. But I'll leave it there for this one for the time being. I hope you all enjoyed it. Lads, we are less than 60 subs off 19k. Imagine that, 19k. It took me nearly a week to clear 18k. That's crazy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could, and subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.